Starts now with breaking news.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Liz Quidantes. Thanks for joining us. Jim is on assignment dealing with the unimaginable. Entire neighborhoods leveled, hospitals and airports underwater. The impact of Hurricane Dorian on the Bahamas is as bad as many feared. The death toll stands at 30, but hundreds, if not thousands, are still missing. We have live team coverage tonight, a firsthand look at how local doctors are making a difference on the islands, and a story of survival from a Delray Beach father trapped under debris for hours as Dorian wreaked havoc. We begin with my co-anchor Jim Grimes in Freeport tonight with a look at the devastation.
Well, we are still docked here at Freeport over in the Grand Bahamas. There's really very little to be happy about. This storm hit almost a week ago. But there is a little bit of good news, and that is the fact that Freeport, the main port here, is opened, and it is bringing supplies and transportation, something sorely needed to this area. A street filled with what used to be furniture, clothing, and personal belongings. All of this from Hurricane Dorian's storm surge. And down the road, the power of the storm's winds ripped through these houses, tearing down their cinder walls. And you might be surprised because this is relatively new construction. You might have thought it would hold up better against a hurricane, but not the strength of Dorian. And there are other homes that look just like it. In fact, home after home in this neighborhood appeared to suffer the same fate. For our driver, Carly Williams, it was overwhelming.
Homes, cars, everything. A lot of family live in these areas. They died. Nobody survived. You know, it's so hard here. It's nothing here, you know.
Did you have any idea it looked like this bad back here?
No, never in history. We've been through many hurricanes. We've never in history. It's affecting everyone in the Bahamas.
Across town at the main airport, planes were yanked from this hangar and then blown across a nearby highway.
I've never seen it this bad in my whole entire life.
Local Dwayne Williams says he understands why people are trying to leave.
It's sad, it's a bittersweet. I'm happy that people are getting off the island as well. But a lot of people are suffering, still suffering on the island.
The question now is how long it'll take to rebuild, and more importantly, when tourists will return to repair the economy here. And early this morning, this ship will be offloading some 1,500 of these evacuees into the Palm Beach area. But right after that, they plan on reloading and stocking this with supplies and water and taking it right back over to Freeport. Jim Grimes, CBS 12 News.
Thanks, Jim. Also on that cruise ship, local doctors who went over to the islands to lend a hand. CBS 12's Jay O'Brien continues our team coverage with a first-hand look at what they faced when they arrived.
We're back on our vessel after spending the day with U.S. doctors and nurses who went from shelter to shelter here in Freeport, delivering supplies and doing triage with patients. Some of the people they spoke with said they are out of options and have no homes to go back to.
We were led away from our ship by a police escort, the only way to make it through the crowds seeking refuge in South Florida. Traveling Queens Highway, our driver, a policeman, tells us where we are was underwater just 3 days ago.
All of this is underwater.
We go past the city's airport, a walloping storm surge gutted entire hangars. At least one plane scattered along the road to the Relief Command Center.
I drove out to the main street, and I looked down the main street, and there was 2 to 3 feet of water coming.
The command center is where we met this man who narrowly escaped the storm surge.
I told my wife it's time to go. And that time the hurricane force winds was already 100 plus miles an hour. Hop in my SUV. My wife is crying, say, where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? I said, we have to get out of here.
Our trip was bumpier from there. We piled into the bed of a pickup truck and delivered water and medical supplies to a shelter of mainly children and families. The shelter was just put together today. Kids and families had to walk underneath an intact but out-of-work power line to get in.
They told us they evacuated a hotel that they were previously using as a shelter for children and their families, and they brought them here beside this school that is completely boarded up, completely abandoned.
As we hopped between shelters, Bahamians told us they were there because they lost everything. 2 young men who didn't wish to go on camera told us they don't recognize their home.
They told us they've seen images of homes destroyed and people in terrible situations that they just wish that they could unsee, and they're not sure if they want to go home again.
Damage is catastrophic to the point whereby of seeing persons' homes totally damaged.
Archdeacon Earl Hepburn runs this church, now a shelter.
I saw a man when I was visiting persons. He was looking in the bush. And I asked him, and he said, no, he's looking for his wife.
Hepburn is one of the few on the island with a generator. He told us he won't truly know how many are missing from his congregation until services Sunday. At another church and shelter, there were more doctors, more care, but also these holy books drying in the sun, once wet from floodwaters. A step forward.
Ours wasn't the only medical team to leave the ship either. At least one other went to an area heavily impacted by this storm and said they saw sights like a man whose entire home was destroyed mopping his kitchen floor. They called that a trauma response. In Freeport, I'm Jay O'Brien, CBS 12 News.
Wow, unbelievable stories. Well, while the storm is now over, the need will go on for years. The cruise ship that Jay and Jim took to the Bahamas was full of supplies. It's all part of CBS 12's Operation Bahamas Relief. The station is co-sponsoring the effort with local organizations. This is a live look at the Port of Palm Beach, where the Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line will be loading up its ships with hurricane relief supplies to take to the devastated islands. Some of the items needed include canned goods, building supplies, and hygiene products, as well as blankets, chlorine tablets, and baby goods. If you would like to help out, the Paradise Bahama Cruise Line warehouse is inside the Port of Palm Beach. It's located at 301 Broadway Avenue, bay number 7 in Riviera Beach. That warehouse is open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And if you can't get over there to donate, you can still help. There is a link on our website, cbs12.com, to a page where you can donate money. Also on our website, exclusive new pictures taken from a helicopter over the Bahamas today. Just head to cbs12.com and click on the photo gallery. Bahamians not the only ones impacted by this devastation. A local father traveled to the Bahamas before this but didn't get out fast enough. He was trapped with a Category 5 hurricane bearing down. CBS 12's Luli Ortiz spoke with him tonight. She joins us live with his story of survival. Luli?
Liz, Jim Bell is thankful for his life. He said that the experience during that monster storm is one that will stay with him for a long time.
Memories of New Year's Eve, Christmas.
Inside his Delray Beach home, Jim Bell and his family share 20 years of precious memories spent at their second home in Tilo Cay Reserve, a park located in Hopetown on the Abaco Islands.
We had a main house, and then we had a little bungalow, and just beautiful views of the Sea of Abaco.
Cell phone video captures Hurricane Dorian's devastation.
If you can visualize the Wizard of Oz, and when Dorothy's house goes up in the air, the house just lifted off, and we never saw it. It went into the ocean. We never saw it again.
Homes and boats mangled like they've been through a blender.
I saw the sliding glass doors blow in. Then I went to one of the back bedrooms. They blew in. I thought, okay, we can work this. If that's the kind of damage I've got, I'm okay. Braced myself against the bathroom door, holding the door closed, and all of a sudden the door went down.
That little cubby hole is where I spent the hurricane in.
The house landed on top of him. He was trapped underneath this pile of rubble for hours.
I think I blacked out, then I came to again, and I thought, I'm going to die here. I have to get out.
His wife and kids fearing the worst.
Honestly, I just felt really numb. I felt very numb, but I'm a person who's active, so I was listing his name with every organization. I had put him as a missing American in a foreign country.
The 65-year-old was able to get out and eventually crawl to a shed where he stayed for 10 hours before a United States helicopter spotted his sign.
I have stage 4 cancer, and I beat it for 9 years. I should have been dead a long time ago. I should have died the other day. I'm thinking, God's got a plan for me here.
And everybody just still in shock tonight. They cannot believe he survived this. Now, miraculously, Bell only suffered just some cuts and bruises in his arms and legs. In Palm Beach County, Luli Ortiz, CBS 12 News.
God must have a plan for him. While that local father was able to make it back home to Delray Beach, for dozens of Bahamians, they had to leave their homes or what was left of them. Tonight, some of them are here in our area, just thankful to be alive. Angela Cash was greeted by her grandson at Palm Beach International Airport today. She told CBS 12 News she honestly didn't know if she would survive Hurricane Dorian.
I'm just so glad to be here. If I could bend over, I would kiss the ground.
But the moment is bittersweet because she still hasn't heard from one of her sons.
And I don't know where my son is. He's probably dead.
The vice president of Harborside is chartering flights to PBIA to get people out and putting them up in a hotel. The Bahamians are only allowed to stay in the U.S. for 30 days. After that, they need a visa. Florida Senators Marco Rubio and Rick Scott are calling for President Trump to waive the visa requirements to allow Bahamians with family in the U.S. to seek shelter here. Next at 11, alligator attack. A local researcher bitten by a gator. Why she says what happened next was far worse than the bite itself. Plus, crisis in the Carolinas. The hurricane still wreaking havoc, this time in the U.S. The new video showing the trail of destruction Dorian left behind.
We have an awful lot to track for you in the tropics tonight. I'll tell you which one of these disturbances will be a hurricane before the weekend is out and where it's headed next.
Plus, the beautiful game of soccer bringing two cultures together, how a Treasure Coast youth team forge a bond with an international team, and the event happening this weekend bringing them back together. We're following breaking news tonight out of West Palm Beach. A deadly bright line crash. The train hit a vehicle on Avon Road, that's east of 95, just off Belvedere Road. One person is dead. Police say the scene will be active for a few hours as officers and firefighters investigate. Stay with CBS 12 News on air and online as this story develops. A local researcher attacked by an alligator when she was just trying to do her job. The woman was able to control the bleeding, but she says it's what happened next that was truly terrifying. The only way she was able to get medical attention was to go back into the gator-infested water at the Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge near Boynton Beach. CBS 12's Al Peffley has the story you'll see only on CBS 12 News.
It happened without warning. She was wading in murky water waist deep when the alligator attacked. It was a violent, chaotic encounter she'll never forget.
This is for small waves.
31-year-old Kelsey Pollock of West Palm Beach has an impressive collection of surfboards. That's what she does for fun. But it was in her job as an environmental technician this week that she had a brush with disaster.
When we came up to the tree, we didn't see anything, so it was most likely just lurking underwater.
Kelsey and a coworker were doing research at the Arthur R. Marshall Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge, wading in water up to their waist, when Kelsey accidentally stepped on an alligator.
We went up to the one tree to study, and water just started turning around, and before I knew it, gator was just thrashing around, and then went after my thigh, kind of got a little bite and let go. And then
Kelsey, who's about 5'2", says the gator was almost as big as she is.
And then I just remember kind of seeing its head, but again, it was mostly water because they're powerful, so it was just hard to see. And I just remember feeling that pressure, and I knew right away it grabbed onto my leg. It just happened so quick. It was pretty scary.
With blood streaming down her leg, she frantically climbed the tree to get to safety.
I knew it bit, but I didn't know until I got up out of the water. I felt that real stinging, stabbing pain.
She made a tourniquet out of her shirt to control the bleeding, but she and her coworker had to get back in the water and wade for 10 to 15 minutes to get to where paramedics could reach them.
But after that attack, we were really nervous. Both of us were shaking.
Kelsey says she feels lucky she didn't lose her leg. The bite in her thigh is about 2 inches deep.
I mean, I just keep looking at my leg too the past day, and I'm glad I didn't tear off even more or take, bigger part of my thigh. I mean, it just did a minimal damage for a gator bite. Yeah, I got lucky.
Kelsey says doctors believe she'll make a full recovery and will regain full use of her leg. She hopes to return to work as early as next week. Near Boynton Beach, Al Peffley, CBS 12 News.
As the Bahamas tries to recover from the widespread crisis Dorian has left behind, the Carolinas are dealing with its own devastation from the very same storm. The Category 1 hurricane made landfall in North Carolina's Outer Banks this morning, packing 90-mile-an-hour winds, and now we are seeing the trail of destruction left behind. Homes and buildings torn apart, boats flipped into front yards, debris scattered everywhere. And that was just a Cat 1. I mean, it does do damage. Look at that.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the tornadoes possibly that hit too.
Absolutely. They had, I think at one point, 13 reported tornadoes, and then they updated that to almost 24 tornadoes in the Carolinas as a result of Dorian. And Dorian's making quite the international trip. Not finished yet. Not finished yet. Finished with the U.S. perhaps, but we are watching this system continue to track to the northeast. So its current location now, it's sitting about 200 miles south of Nantucket, Massachusetts, still with winds at 90 miles per hour. There is a little bit of good news from the last track that had come out from the National Hurricane Center. We now see it staying at least as a Category 1 before it starts to make its way into Nova Scotia. However, it was earlier predicted to become a Category 2. It's going to stay at that Cat 1 strength, but as we just showed you, even a Category 1 can do some pretty darn hellacious damage. We do see it making its way over Nova Scotia by tomorrow night, packing those 80-mile-per-hour winds, kind of crossing through the Gulf of St. Lawrence here and just sort of clipping far western Newfoundland as we make our way through Sunday morning with 65-mile-per-hour winds. At that point, it'll be an extratropical low, but then continuing Sunday night into Monday, and we could be looking at this being south of Greenland by Monday, right around 10 o'clock with 45-mile-per-hour winds. So this trip is certainly far from over. We take a look at Tropical Storm Gabrielle because Gabrielle is gaining strength now. This is the one that is predicted to become a hurricane before the weekend is out. Now sitting 1,000 miles west-southwest of the Azores with 60-mile-per-hour winds, but tracking to the northwest at 18 miles per hour. So she's going to be moving into some conditions that are more favorable for development here come Sunday morning. Right around 8 o'clock is when she's expected to pick up that hurricane strength, but then moving to the northeast pretty quickly and then fizzling out in the northern Atlantic. So we're really not worried about that, even though it is becoming a hurricane, not likely to make landfall at all. We are going to have to watch this wave very carefully. It's sitting southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands, likely to become a depression by Tuesday or Wednesday, as it is tracking to the west. Has about a 70% chance of picking up a name, so may even become a tropical storm here. Right now, it's Invest 94L, just a fancy way of saying the National Hurricane Center is investigating it. But when we run our ensemble models out, it does take, most of them at least, take it through the Leeward Islands as we head into Friday, one pushing it all the way into the Caribbean. A couple of the other models over here don't even have it making its way into the Leeward Islands at all. So we'll have to keep close tabs on that one. And obviously, we're in the peak of hurricane season, so it must be the start of fall. And our fall temperatures from coast to coast forecast September, October, November looking to be above average for Florida. And that means we would expect temps above 88 degrees, or that average of 88, as we head through September. And our friends at Climate Central sent us this graphic today saying fall's been kind of getting warmer for West Palm Beach since 1970. Our average fall temperature has gone up by 1.5 degrees. And then you're going to feel that this weekend. 92 tomorrow, 91 Sunday, back down to the upper 80s through early next week, but low chance for rain, at least through Tuesday.
All right, Aaron, thanks. That does it for CBS 12 News at 11. Thank you for joining us. Now here's John with the Friday Night Rivals Blitz. Hi, John.
Hey, thanks, Liz. Hurricane Dorian took out all of the public school games tonight, but lots of action from Benjamin to King's Academy to St. Andrews. Plus, one local soccer team has forged a bond with an international team. Sports anchor Anna Logan explains how soccer has united the two teams and two countries. Coming up.
Hubbard Radio Stations, proud sponsors of the CBS 12 News Network, the one to turn to. Now, the South Florida Honda Sports Report.
Welcome to the Friday Night Rivals Blitz, what would have been week 3, packed with action, but public schools canceled their games once again tonight after Hurricane Dorian, but that did not stop the Benjamin School from storming back into action. Yeah, and Bucks fans had something to cheer about early and often. Santino Marucci with the quarterback keeper, and Benjamin already up 20-0 at that point in the first quarter. Both of these teams beat their opponent 43-0 last week, but it was the Bucks blowing things wide open tonight. Joshua Pierre-Louis not wide open, but that does not stop him breaking tackle after tackle. Louis, oh no, take me where you gotta go. And that is the end zone for a 27-0 lead. And this cheerleader head over heels excited about that. Marucci loves that destination as well. Benjamin proving to be a powerhouse once again. A 40-0 final called early because of lightning. The only team from our area in the state title game last year was Kings Academy, traveling to North Broward Prep tonight, winning the coin toss to start. Gifted a fumble at the 2-yard line. Dominic Patty cashes in the easy-peasy 1-yard touchdown. Final play of the first quarter, James Daly going airborne, and it's Isaac Scroogins at the end of this rainbow for the huge pickup, which eventually sets up this. It's Patty again, revving up the speed on this Patty wagon. Hear those Lions roar. It's 56-26, the absolute final. St. Andrews hosting Boca Christian. 1 second remaining in the first half. Boca Christian's QB Miller Wade right here sneaks it in, cuts the Scots halftime lead to 27-13. Fast forward to the third quarter now. Wade not digging this so much. Intercepted by Matthew James. Now, James, as you'll see, as versatile as they get, helping his own cause now at quarterback on the keeper, breaking a tackle, scoring the touchdown, 33-13 Scots. Very next possession, Jeremiah Young now playing quarterback. The slant pass to guess who? Yes, James. This guy does everything. In for the touchdown again. The Scots, they win big over Boca Christian. Up next, we transition from football to football, or soccer, as we call it in the United States. An amazing story of two cultures coming together as a youth soccer team from Morocco is taking to the pitch in Port St. Lucie. Great story coming up. A unique soccer tradition is quickly forming in Port St. Lucie, and it's bringing two cultures together through sport. Anna Logan explains how a local youth soccer team has formed an unbreakable bond with a team from Morocco.
Two teams divided by a language barrier, but united by a game.
One common is the soccer. It's one language.
It started in 2018 when the U18 Port St. Lucie United soccer team traveled to Morocco, becoming the first youth soccer team in the United States to visit the country, a trip that would forge a bond between the two clubs.
I had the idea to take young kids to Morocco to teach them not only the soccer, but the relationship.
The two teams unable to communicate, yet the message was clear.
When the time I went to Morocco, they didn't take it as a joke. They took it like their lives were depending on it. And going back here, we just joke around. We don't take it serious. So I came back here and just train harder.
They're about to see if their training has paid off. The Port St. Lucie Soccer Club is hosting Club Rahal of Morocco in a tournament this weekend.
He cannot describe how he's happy to come here in America.
The purpose of the meeting extends beyond the pitch.
I'm hoping our kids learn how respectful they are, how hard they train, and their soccer ability.
The emotions that soccer brings is just, I don't know, bring people together, I guess.
It's a new tradition that could have an everlasting impact on the youth soccer community in South Florida.
I hope that this movement don't stop. We go again and again, and we bring again and again.
In Port St. Lucie, Anna Logan, CBS 12 News.
Oh, thank you, Anna. Love that story. Meanwhile, two more sleeps for Dolph fans, all set for the season opener against the Ravens this Sunday. A game you can watch right here on CBS 12. Wide receiver Jakeem Grant will be looking for big plays, just as he was making last year when an injury shut him down. He can't wait to get back this Sunday.
I'm just ready to get back out there and show these guys that, you know, I'm back and I'm not finished. You know, I left a lot of stuff on the table just doing with the injury, and I'm coming to set the tone, let them know that let my presence be felt.
Watch the game Sunday on CBS 12. Post-game action and reaction. Fins Fever Sunday, 11 p.m. on CBS 12. That's it for now. Have a great night.